Hello and welcome back to the Awkward Saturn channel. Unus Annus recently ended, and I wrote this short story back in early May and was inspired to read it to you and post it. I hope you all enjoy. Thoughts from a Coffin. Consciousness was coming back to me in a way I didn't recognize. I wiggled my toes and felt my fingers intertwined on my stomach. A long, silky dress kept me aware of how different this was versus all the other times I had worn dresses. Those times I was going to some event or dancing reluctantly with friends. Not this time. The event was here, and I was the entertainment at my own event. I was also the only attendee. No dinner to be served or people to talk to. What an odd thought. When I thought of no one speaking to me anymore, protected by the earth and society's perspective on grave digging, I felt fine. I wondered what I'd looked like at this point, but I didn't stay on that thought too long, as the darkness would most likely keep that question a mystery. At the very least, I was presentable for my event, though I wouldn't have minded being turned into a memory diamond or part of a tree if this was what waited for me. I wonder what I'd feel then. I started to connect to my former life. Every memory and every thought was available to me, disconnected from any negative thoughts. Curiosity, calmness, and satisfaction were easily found. But when I thought of the worst memories that would attack my heart at random times, I was just smiling to myself. This was certainly new. I began to dissect every memory that had ever haunted me. I felt elated that this odd connection gave me a whole new perspective on my life. The perspective like when old friends had tried to make me feel better about that particular memory, as they didn't see it or feel about it the same way I had. How wonderful to be free of the worst emotions. Having access to the memories from a refreshing perspective was already entertaining enough. But having access to my old thoughts were a treat as well. There had been so many thoughts before the coffin. There were the little thoughts, the medium thoughts, and the large thoughts that controlled my life. The little thoughts were so quiet that I had no control over them. Those were now plainly within my mental grasp. Tiny little moments where I immediately decided that I didn't like someone or something on an unconscious level. The medium thoughts that I was aware of and tried my best to control, as most were usually negative, whether about myself or others, were scattered around me. Who wanted to be surrounded by those negative medium thoughts all the time? Now I could decide what to do with them. I could look at them and send them off to where they belonged in my brain. As much as I would have been happy with a mental dumpster in this situation, I kept them in a neat pile off to the side to go through whenever I was bored. When would boredom come to me? Then I found the large thoughts. I had always been aware of these thoughts, and the moments connected to them. However, some of the older large thoughts had apparently been misinterpreted after years of existing. Probably after years of all the little, medium, and other large thoughts crowding my mind. I started at the beginning. The first large thoughts that I had to go through had been trampled over from years of memory abuse. The memories from when I was a baby. It looked so odd now. I knew it had been from the lack of development, but I had been disconnected from these memories for so long that even in this event, it was odd to see them. I saw as the individuals I loved made mistakes with me. Physical mistakes, in dropping me on accident, or opening a door I was observing too closely. Mental mistakes like discouraging me towards certain thoughts of acceptance of others, or myself. I saw people who didn't look like me and was hastily drawn away. I saw the connecting threads to that mistake stretch out years into my existence, until an older me with a fully developed brain took the time to hack and saw at those mental mistakes. I saw that it took years to have the connecting threads damaged enough to where they didn't affect me as much later in life. I started to dig after that discovery. The mistakes of my parents and my own mistakes, whether influenced by other people or myself, stretched out a lot longer than I ever realized. I saw that many of my large thoughts were connected to each other. It reminded me of dominoes, one memory affecting the next. Maybe life was just a game, someone setting up a small game of cause and effect that gets out of hand. How many pieces did they set up before the game got messy? That brought on a new series of insights in this event for just me. I decided to go to the first of my large thoughts and began to dissect myself. It was odd looking through these memories like a virtual reality movie. And then a new thought came to me. I looked at my parents, and I wanted to know if I could see through them too. Their little, medium, and large thoughts. I wanted to see their mistakes, how impactful each decision was for them. And I found to my delight that I could access their thoughts. How fascinating. I had done regular internet research before this event when the internet became easily accessible, but this made me relate to the real scientists and researchers of my time. What an interesting discovery. I decided to leave my own life's analysis for a later time. I dived deep into my parents' perspective. How different we saw things. My parents had always either agreed with me or disagreed quietly, usually choosing to drop the subject rather than face it. I didn't realize how much I frustrated them, how my perspective on the world should work was silly and irresponsible. Huh, I wonder if we were in the same place as each other. Would they try to take a look at my life? Maybe they went to their parents too. How far could I go back? I held off on acting on that thought and moved through my mother's life. I felt her judgment of others cloud her life. There had been so many options for her and for others if she had been more open. I wonder how different I would have turned out. I looked through my father's life. If I had the option of looking through his perspective before my event, I imagine I would have been wildly embarrassed. Looking through my father's lens felt like a different type of existence, like his brain was wired on a freeway while mine was on the back roads. Why were we so different? Was it simply down to our bodily differences? And there I saw it. The beginnings for both my parents. My grandparents, their society, the social structure. They didn't stand a chance. The society and social structure I grew up with were odd to see in contrast to this world. Reading about it and experiencing it were sadly different. What other perspectives would show me a different world like this? I pushed my limits to those I had dismissed in life. My goodness, another completely different world. There were many similar thoughts of all shapes and sizes, but how we all approached the world, and how the world approached us, how did we even live on the same place of existence? How could all these different perspectives be the same world? I thought again to the dominoes. Was there more than one person playing? Setting up thousands of little pieces in a different corner? Our lives were all structured the same. Do I care at this point? I considered all the time I had. I looked hard at all the people I ever connected with. My perspective pierced through those that had been left behind me. We were all the same, placed on a surface to fall into one another's lives at certain points, never to think or care why or who or how. All of us falling the same, yet so differently as our world was shaped, or the way we landed was different by the smallest of margins. I hope you all find your way peacefully to the end. We're all the same in the coffin. The coffin will open its doors without judgment and caress you with peace. Keep going. Until you slide into your grave, you will keep making things, and you will keep moving forward. Thank you so much, Unus Annus, Markiplier, CrankGameplays. Until next time.